talking to Sandra Scott. Now, very interesting story. Sandra Scott, you've heard the term late bloomer, right? Well, I don't necessarily believe in that. I believe that when you take action, you take action. This is a person who clearly is oh my God, like talented at everything, and is educated in terms of she has a degree in communications. Her husband was in the military, so she's a military wife. She has 2 children. But when I say late bloomer, I don't mean that she just started late. I mean that she started to walk into a different level of greatness. And I'm going to let her tell you her story, so I'm not going to delay. Sandra, welcome. So good to see you.
Oh, I'm so excited to be with you, Renee.
Yes. I cannot wait to dive in, because I am convinced there are so many women out there who have lived their life for their children, and some of them through their children. And some of them have, like yourself, have been a military wife. And even though you did have some career opportunities that you took advantage of, you really started blooming a little bit later. So tell me, what was that? First, are you comfortable sharing with viewers how old you are?
Yeah. Yes, I don't mind. But before I share what my beautiful age is, let me tell you something, what I heard from the Spirit, because I am of the baby boomer generation. So I would tell people I'm a baby boomer. And so really I heard in my spirit, God said, you're not just a baby boomer. I said, what? I said, well, what am I? He said, you are a baby bloomer. I said, what do you mean? I'm talking to God, everybody. I'm talking to God. What do you mean? He said, because you're still blooming, baby.
I love that, baby bloomer. So no longer are you a baby boomer, you're a baby bloomer. Love that.
I'm a baby bloomer at the blessed age, Renee, of 69 years old. And let me say that I honor my mother, who was blessed to live for 103 years. 2 weeks just short of her 104th. My father transitioned at 92. So I'm claiming longevity for my life. So as I went to graduate school at age 40, and got my first graduate degree at 43, that was okay for me. Not that I'm, determined. I'm claiming the longevity, but I'm not assuming longevity of my mother when I'm claiming it. So at age 40, for me, going to graduate school was probably like going to graduate school at age 30. And now that I'm going to a seminary, finally, at age 68, I started last year. So I'm pretty much kind of like at 50, going, that's how I'm kind of calculating it. So if I am blessed to live my mother's years, I have quite a long journey to go. So I'm still blooming, baby.
Absolutely. So tell us this. So for the women out there that want to still be blooming, right? So they've been in a space where they have spent their life committed to the development of their children. They have been there for their husbands if they are still married. They can also be single. Tell us a little bit, Sandra, about how do you get to that point where you start writing books, right? You start going back to school. You start to reclaim a different aspect of your life and who you are. How do you get to that point?
For me, I have to pretty much encourage myself and force myself, Renee, to say yes. I just have to do it. Even saying yes to doing the interview with you, I have to say yes so that I push myself to achieve. Otherwise, I'll naysay, as we say in North Carolina, my own self. I'll naysay my own self and negate myself from achieving more. I owe it to myself to explore the more that's in me. So I keep saying yes, even if I may not feel absolutely ready for the challenge.
So, Sandra, there are people out there that are listening to you and ultimately saying, wow, she was a choir director. She's written songs. She's written a book, and it's also beautifully done. Wisdom from the Garden, 12 Life Lessons to Grow By. She's written a book, so clearly she has the talent to write a book. She's now enrolled in class. Man, she had everything that she needed to do what she's doing. And you're known as the garden girl, right? And so there are people out there, though, that are thinking, okay, she has all those talents, but I don't have those talents. How do I zero in and find out what my purpose is?
Mhm. I did what you have said recently in your later books. I did not know the term executive session some years ago, years and years ago. But I was in an executive session with myself, and I asked God, what am I here for? Why am I here? And I wrote down that I am here to add joy to people's lives. Who am I? What am I here for? And God told me, I don't know how many are believers in God, but I'm just telling my story my way. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I heard from the Spirit of God that I am here to add joy to people's lives. And how do I do that? You know very well that I have a humorous side, a very silly side, fun-loving side. But I add joy through that. I add joy to people's lives through what I write. I add joy to people's lives to how I affirm them and help them reframe what they are naysaying about themselves. And it's something God has built in me to reframe that, to honor their story, but to kind of help shift just a little bit so they know at least someone thinks well of you and believes in you. And so I do that through my affirmations of people, my encouragements of people. I do that through music when it comes to the forefront, and through writing. So yeah, so I know why I'm here. And that was a very good jump off point. But if you don't know what your gift is, then I definitely recommend positioning yourself with a coach like S. Renee to help you discover what your gift is, because it's there. And now she is the one who began to help motivate me with her first book, There Is More Inside. In fact, S. Renee was really my first coach. I was not into self-development, even as late, but back in 2004, 2005, when I first met S. Renee in the state of Delaware. So her book, but I would take S. Renee's book and I'm a journaler. So whatever S. Renee said in that book, I would write in my journal, meaning Sandra. I would fill in my name with those statements that S. Renee was writing. So you've got to get a book, you've got to get a real live person or someone to help you. Otherwise, you will be 69 years old, still wondering, who are you? What do you have to offer? And why are you here? So yeah, you've got to position yourself with someone or something else to help you understand what you have to offer.
Very, very good advice. Let me ask you this, Sandra. You have a daughter and you also have a women's ministry. The top 3 lessons that you share with your daughter that helps her to elevate her life.
One of the lessons I would share with younger people Honor your father and your mother. Now, people say, well, there we go. That touches my father wounds, my mother wounds. I'm just trying to say, let me reframe that. Honor the elders in your life. That's a major value that unfortunately is lost too often. And I understand clearly that there are quite a few dishonorable elders out there who aren't living a life of a great example for you. But anyway, find those that you can honor, because as Renee, what you sow, you receive. I would also say, find a way to love yourself. Find something about yourself to love. Oh my goodness. Come on. Listen,
I'm loving that. I'm loving that. I love both of them, but I'm loving that. I like that.
Because coming up so timid, as I shared earlier, and not feeling confident in myself, I knew my parents loved me. Now that's a good thing. So I pray that there's someone in the younger person's life who they know loves them for real, for real. Faults, failures, all of that. Not always having to achieve to be loved. I pray that there's someone that. But just in case there's not that kind of person in your life, find something and realize something about yourself to love. There is something about yourself to love. It could be a physical attribute. It could be a skill. It could be your humor. It could be the way you make people laugh. It's something about you that is lovable. And it would be great early on for you to realize that and own it, cherish it. And now what? Parade it and, flat, flaunt it. Now, actually, let me say right quick. In the book, I have a chapter called Humbly Flaunt Your Fabulous. I think that's one of my favorite chapters. It's chapter 12, Humbly Flaunt Your Fabulous. And what did I mean by that? Because I'm saying there's something about you that is totally unique and you need to flaunt it, but not in a way that says nobody else has anything to bring to the table but me. But celebrate others. As I say, you plant a seed, it comes back to you. So you celebrate others, and then as you stand gradually in your confidence to flaunt your fabulous. You know what? When someone compliments you, younger ones out there, say thank you. Say thank you. My generation, they was women especially would get compliments. Oh, Sandra, that's a beautiful. Oh, this old thing, I've had this in the closet for 20 years. Did the person need all of that information? Now what have I done? I have totally dishonored, negated their free offering of a gift of a compliment to me. Let it land. Let it land on you. Let it land in your brain, your heart, your spirit. Someone thinks well of me. Let it land.
I like that. Someone thinks well of me. Someone thinks well of me. I love that. I love that. That in itself could be an affirmation. Someone thinks well of me. Yeah, love that. So let me ask you this. As you reflect on your life, Sandra, and you talked about lacking confidence as a young girl, though talented and loved, but still lacking confidence, something that many people go through. What would you tell your younger self?
That is a very, very good question, because I know more now than I did then. So if my younger self was sitting right here in front of me, then I will tell her, Sandra, look what you can do. Look at what you can do. Look at who you can be. You're not just you're not going to become just a wife. just a mother. You're not going to become just a anything. You're going to become a mother. You're going to become a wife. Going to become a writer. You're going to become a speaker. You're not just an anything, everyone. You just are. You just are. You are what you are.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this, because you talked about you just are what you are. And in being who we are and being human, we make mistakes.
Yes.
How do you navigate that piece? When you know you've made a mistake, and what happens, and how do you overcome it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've made mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes. And the thing about my personality wiring and driving my personality wiring leans toward perfectionism. And that is, my brand, as I've learned from my brand expert, S. Renee, my brand is really excellence. Whatever I do my utmost to bring my A game. I put my best foot forward to do my utmost, and I do tweak. But I taught myself to stop tweaking to ad nauseum. Let it go. Just let it go. Okay, when it goes out there and you find that you need to correct something, just bring it on back in and correct it. I have had to teach myself and permit myself to be human, to be imperfect, that it's okay for me to get tongue twisted when I'm speaking. It's okay for me to have a short lapse of memory of what I'm trying to say. I might say for a minute, trying to get my thoughts together. It's okay because I am a great writer. It's okay if I miss, and I had great English teachers, but I'm not a perfect grammarian. And I'm so thankful for editor on the computer to say that sentence isn't quite right. You don't need that comma. So I have some now technical help. But when I see a mistake, I say, you know what, Sandra, you're still okay. That doesn't make you a mistake. That doesn't make you a mistake. You just made a mistake. And a mistake is correctable. But first of all, Sandra, forgive yourself. You are okay. You don't have to be a perfectionist. Don't cry too long or don't cry at all. Just keep moving, because this is what I realize, as Renee, other people really aren't catching all those minute mistakes that you may see, or you or what I see as, oh, Sandra, that's just a big, huge mess up. No one else has even seen it. And see what is the mistake we make. Then we go pointing it out to someone, and they will say, you know what, I didn't even notice that. See, you've blown your whole thing. You've blown your whole credibility. A few mistakes does not negate your credibility. Come on. I think most people, most reasonable people, can forgive just common everyday mistakes, because I don't think that a perfectionist really is all that likable, because then you start nitpicking on everybody else. You nitpick, but then you can't take it when other people nitpick on you. So I just don't think that's a good place to be. So Sandra has evicted herself from perfectionism. Yay! Yay, me, go me.
Go.
No longer perfectionist. Still excellent, but no longer a perfectionist. So when I make mistakes, I say, okay, I'm human. If I can correct it before it goes to press, fine, or before it gets presented before others, fine. If not, oh well, let it go. Be at peace.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Be at peace. To wrap it up, you talked about the book, There Is More Inside, and you mentioned Unbottle Your Genie. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Unbottle Your Genie? And just to explain to people what Unbottle Your Genie is, it is a workshop that I've developed, Sandra and her husband have been a part of. I think you've come to two
Yes.
of them, and just share your experience and really what I'm looking for. What would you say would be the top three things that you walked away with that you continue to use as you grow and develop?
Mm-hmm. One of the things is the part on the image. I think the image section comes a little bit later. That image is important, S. Renee, because why? You never know. Is that right, S. Renee? When an opportunity will present itself, really is you, S. Renee. You. And I will say you and then translate that to for others. How you present not only an image, but your caring and your loving to those participants who took the time to attend your seminar. I think it would be all day seminar. We would have lunch break, and how you lavished the care on us with lunch, and all how you poured out yourself to us. That is a major, major takeaway for me. And I think that's a takeaway for anyone. Whatever we do, whatever we present, a Zoom, a seminar, a webinar, or whatever we're teaching, as we begin to gather back together, send that love to people, that love, that caring to people. And I'm not even talking about spirituality at that point. Of course, your spirituality plays into how you present that love and caring, but be loving and caring. Why? Because people are hurting. I don't care. They have their power suits on and their power makeup on and their power adornments on, male or female. They are hurting. Somewhere in their life, they are hurting. And it matters that we as communicators present love and caring to people who took the time to come listen to us, whether virtually or in person in a live situation. It matters that they feel cared for. That's another takeaway. And also another takeaway is the workbook was so massive. Really, that workbook, anyone would take that Unbottle Your Genie workbook and really work it, you would be a totally different person, because it takes time to really think about what you are able to achieve, to believe in yourself to achieve it. So the workbook is actually a major, major takeaway that I have from. So those three.
You became known as or you marketed yourself as the garden girl.
Mm-hmm.
You've written a book about the wisdom from the garden. So across your platforms, you are consistently talking about, excuse me, the garden.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how you were able to connect the dots of your life to get there.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful connect dot for me. This is what I did not know growing up as that young, timid girl, that I was catching from my beloved mother. Mom was a phenomenal gardener. We had an humble home, but she would get out in the yard. I remember her roses. I did not know that all those visuals, those colorful visuals, were impacting me in my spirit. I wouldn't even really be out there helping mom garden as a little one, even as a teenager. That was mom's thing. Mom would do flower gardening, and I remember a victory garden in the back where she grew vegetables. And I remember mom canning those vegetables and using those vegetables in soups. And also all of that was happening around me. And I did not know it was impacting me. So now, as I married and with a military man, and we moved to our first military home, I decided to get out in the yard and try gardening. planting things, flowering things. And so that's how it started. Then as Renee, as we moved up here and there around the world, gardening, either houseplant gardening or outdoor gardening, became a way for me to stabilize myself through all the transition upheaval. You know, because moving and packing up a whole household with everything you own down to the nail and paper clip, that's not an easy thing to do. Even though you have, you know, the moving truck, the 16-wheeler, as I call them, they come up and pack, you still have to be involved in all of that. And so it's stressful. And so somehow gardening became my go-to place, safe place to bring myself to homeostasis. So later on, and my daddy was a picture taker. We have so many family photo memories because Dad used to take out his Kodak camera. If anybody, you know, I'm a baby boomer, a Kodak camera and take those pictures. So even that impacted me. So later on, I began to take pictures of my exploits in the garden, befores and afters. I did not know as early or late as my Delaware time in 2004 through 2007, I was taking pictures of what I was doing in the garden, when I would make over the walkway or uproot something and plant something else. And I did a lot of landscaping. I love landscaping. I was taking pictures. I did not know I was formulating a basis for writing a book. So now how did it transition and travel toward me writing the book? So now as we've moved here to Virginia, I've been involved in ministry with women to plan women's retreats. So at the last women's retreat that I was involved in, on the way home with one of the retreat facilitators, an inspiration came to me. I said, you know what? We should write a devotional together. You write 10 devotionals, I'll write 10, the other lady will write 10, and next retreat, we'll have a devotional to share with the women. And all of us got so excited about it. Well, I got home, I wrote my 10. One was very busy with her own ministerial duties. She wrote some, but I kind of had to keep after, you know, come on, everybody, let's get it together. We even had a meeting at my house. Let's pull this together. And then the other one really had some major, major stressful things happen in her life. So she really never wrote one. And so they dropped the ball, as far as I would say, on their end. Now the one that wrote some, she did finish her 10. So 2 of us finished our 10, but the other one never did. So that whole process stopped. But guess what that did? That put me in the mode of writing. So when somehow I was on my computer doing my thing, scrolling, looking at pictures, whatever, all of a sudden, the inspiration came to me to put my pictures with a story. That's what I was doing with the devotional writing. It wasn't with pictures, but I was writing a short story, you know, because devotional readings are short. So I said, oh, well, let me put this picture with this story, because I know the story because I lived it, because I did it. I did those plantings. I did that weeding. I did that shoveling. And so I think I started that in April, year before, April 2018. And by June, I realized I'm writing a book. I'm writing my first book. And so what did I do? I knew no publisher really. It happened. See, when you say yes, things fall in line.
Tell us this, Sandra. First of all, this book is beautifully done. Not just the stories, but the pictures that you've included in the stories that you talked about. And what an incredible story about things going wrong, but yet they end up going right. Right.
Thank
So
you.
how do we transition ourselves when things don't go the way we expect? Then how do we transition ourselves to get ourselves on the right path? And I'm so glad that you found that path. Wisdom from the Garden, 12 Life Lessons to Grow by Sandra F. Scott. Tell us where we can get your book, but also where we can follow you and engage with the girl from the garden.
I do have a website, sandrafscott.com, where you can see more of my story as the garden girl. And also I have a Facebook page. This one is not a private Facebook group. You can go right to the page, Wisdom from the Garden. Now there may be other Wisdom from the Garden pages, but mine is very colorful, bold colors, Wisdom from the Garden. But the tagline is Life Lessons with Sandra the Garden Girl, That's where I write messages, my latest escapades in the garden. I will write a Garden Girl wisdom nugget, to a story to go along with those pictures. So that's how you can follow me.
Oh, that's awesome. Sandra, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your transparency. I believe that there are going to be people who are going to be inspired by your tenacity and by your willingness to be open, because that's all that is required of us. Until next time, I'm Miss Renee. Take care.